The Himalayas were in isolation from time immemorial and had taken in their lap too many human beings, guarded them against the alien touch for centuries. Ancient Indian literature and mythologies refer to various ethnic groups who were believed to have an affinity with some divine races. And one such ethnic community are the Kinnoras. Kinnor is the abode of the mythical Kinnar, or the celestial singers. Kinnoras are said to be the progeny of Pulastya, according to some scriptures. And their dialect belongs to the Tibeto-Burman family of languages.
As all natural forces are controlled by supernatural powers, from the time of sowing till harvest, God's blessing is desired. This is a typical Kinnori ritual. The deity is taken on a palanquin around the courtyard, with all the devotees dancing and conversing with it. Life in Kinnor is marked by the mutual existence of man and God. It is the duty of God to see that there is everlasting peace in the village. Kinnor is a place of curious coexistence of Buddhism and Hinduism. Kinnor, a district in Himachal Pradesh, which is the Himalayan state of India, is surrounded by Tibet in the east, Lahul and Spiti in the north, Simla and Uttarkashi in the south. Moving upstream along the river Satluj, one comes across a gradual transition of Hinduism to Buddhism. And so does the ecology, from arid to semi-arid and dry.
Kinnor had trade relations with Tibet, Yarkand and Ladakh. The Kinnoras used horses, donkeys, sheep and goat for carrying goods as well as for barter. But now that is a thing of the past. As most part of Kinnor is situated at an altitude of over 6,000 feet, the inhabitants are naturally required to wear woolen garments throughout the year. To have their own regular supply of wool, they started rearing animals like sheep and goat so that they could get uninterrupted supply of wool. The river Satluj originates from the southern face of Kailash at a great height. Reaching the village Khabo, it meets the Spiti River, turning into a torrent, a scene of awful sublimity.
Baspa is a feeder of the Satluj, and people believe that these two rivers are brothers. When they first started flowing, it was agreed upon by them that whoever reaches the point of confluence, which is Karcham earlier, shall retain the name thereafter. Baspa, being the younger, was more boisterous and brought along with him all the paraphernalia of musical instruments, whereas the river Satluj, being the elder, was more discreet and reached the point of confluence much ahead of his younger brother.
The concept of living in harmony with nature is of ancient origin. Indian religious texts, literature, folklore, and legends down the ages bear testimony to not only an extraordinary regard for nature, but even reverence for the natural resources like rivers, forests, and mountains. They are venerated as the source of all human life. Long before temples came into being, worship of trees had been widely prevalent in India. The tree, Kalpavriksha, has the magical quality of being able to fulfill all desires. It is not a tree with many special features, but a symbolic representation of the divine potential of our vegetation. Vegetation adapts itself to the needs of the time, and the land continues to grow forever. It is sufficient to fulfill all the natural needs of man. In our external experience, we can see the world in its plurality, but in our internal experience, we can perceive it as one. This ultimate reality has been termed God.
As the trade with Tibet has come to an end, the people have resorted to cultivation. Vegetables are raised for the local market, while fruits like apples and pears are distributed for sale to different parts of the country. Wheat, barley, and millet are grown in fields at high altitude. As there is not much rainfall, water is used from rivers or streams that originate from glaciers.
Women play a vital role in shaping the economy of the district. Besides helping in agricultural activities like sowing seeds, harvesting of crops, collecting firewood, making hay, they also carry on with their daily household chores. Kinnaur's food habits are basic and simple. The staple diet is oglo, brass and barley. A thin paste of maize flour is prepared and spread on a hot pan and then baked. Rote is akin to an ordinary chapati. Kinnaur is famous for its apples. Apples are not only in abundance, they have also brought prosperity to this region in recent years. Besides apples, grapes, apricots, nioza, walnuts and pears grow in large quantities. Anguri happens to be the most exquisite quality of spirit. As the name suggests, it is mainly extracted from grapes. The grapes are squashed and put together in a wooden jar along with water and kept for some weeks. The distillation is very interesting. The mixture is poured into a large metal container over a fire. The container is then covered with a stone and is made airtight with mud. Now, a small brass container is placed over the stone. 2 rubber pipes, one bringing in cold water and the other drawing out hot water, are placed in the brass container. And through the third pipe comes out the wine, Anguri. The flavor depends on how well the wine is brewed, and how well it is brewed depends on the master brewer, the Kinnori woman. So priceless is the brewing skill that the woman who has mastered it commands great respect in the Kinnori community. As we delve beyond the realms of the tangible, we find that the nature-man relationship is not only confined to the ecological or subsistent level, but our environment of supernatural beliefs and rituals influence the nature-man interrelationship. Thus, for a holistic portrayal of Kinnor life, God, or the spirit, offers yet another dimension, and we find inseparable links and an interrelationship between nature, man, and God.
Although these villages are large, they do not exhibit any systematic plan. They are situated either in the river valleys or on mountain slopes. They are usually divided into 3 or 4 hamlets, separately inhabited by different jatis or castes. The people here are divided into Khosias, who form the upper caste, and the Chamang group, who have low social status. The Khosias are mostly the owners of land and also the tradesmen. The Chamang serve the Khosias as farm laborers and are also leather workers and weavers.
In ancient Hindu texts, there are hymns in praise of Pashan, the god of the shepherds, assigning wool a special position in Hindu rituals. There are also references to the bleaching and spinning of wool, and from these one can assume that a vast ancient knowledge of wool and its weaving processes existed since early Indian civilization.
Once the wool is cleared of impurities, it is pulled apart to separate and loosen the entangled fibers. The teasing is carried out with 2 wooden combs, where a lock of wool is placed on one comb and the entanglements are straightened by placing another comb on top and drawing the wool fibers between the 2. The wool, now untwined, is ready to be spun into yarn.
The shawls of Kinnor district are woven with motifs of temples and swastikas that highlight a strong religious influence. This is probably because of Kinnor's proximity to the Lahaul-Spiti Valley, a repository of Buddhist art and culture. The 4 colors commonly used for Kinnor shawls are red, orange, blue and green, though black and yellow are also used sparingly. On the 7th day after childbirth, the shikor or birth pollution is over, the house is cleaned and the mother along with the baby goes to the chashma or the nearby well and takes a bath. After the bath, as she enters home, child in arm, she performs a significant ritual, walking over red-hot stones, and finally, taking a sip of cow urine. The birth of a child is not only necessary to maintain the continuity of the family line, but also to ensure the economic stability of the family. The use of space in Kinnaur is dictated by the continuity of time and the interconnections that exist between mountains, valleys and rivers and the produce of the land. A similar integration adds life to local architecture. The principal construction material are stones and wood. Houses, sometimes spacious and even elegant, are built wherever a suitable site is available. In many cases, a site is chosen with the approval of the local deity.
Temples are quite unique and can be easily distinguished from the other houses. They have projecting balconies embellished with neatly curved wooden flowers, fringes, and even images